Good morning, Geauga County, Lake County, northeastern Ohio. You're listening to the Voice of Geauga, where every Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 8 a.m., you'll be listening to Jonathan Broadbent and Skip Claypool, or some combination thereof. This morning
Good
we have
morning,
a
everyone.
this morning we have a special guest list with us, Angela Manarino of AFP, otherwise known as what is it, Angela?
Americans
American
for Prosperity.
Americans for Prosperity. And if you're with us, you can call into the radio program and take part in the program at 440-946-9468. You can email us at voiceofjog@gmail.com. Of course, you can always join us on one of our live stream channels. We're on Rumble, Facebook, and YouTube. We always have a very lively discussion on Rumble. And for those of you who are on the radio listening to us, if you were to live stream us, you could actually listen to all the secrets that we talk about in the commercial breaks, because we talk through the commercial breaks on Rumble and we share all the secrets there. So we always have a good time. Our Rumble participants are very active and provide us a lot of feedback and questions, and we have some fun with that. So to the radio station, we hope that you're listening no matter where you are. You can actually take us into work with you, listen to us in your earbuds by live streaming us on your phone. You can do that by either going to voiceofgeauga.com. There's a little button on the front there, mic button. You push that and you can stream. And I do that when I'm traveling, and I've literally done it from an airplane. And so sitting in the coach seat, listening to Voice of Geauga by at that time Jonathan, because I wasn't participating, but listening to the program, it was fantastic. And you can also live stream from the airplane and participate that way too. So this morning's program is going to be kind of special. Angela and AFP have established a charter for the organization in Geauga County. So if you're Geauga County people, you can participate in all the good things that AFP has. And while I've got everybody, politics are cranking up. I don't know whether you're watching the national news or not, but things are heating up out there with various candidates winning and losing. I'm very sad that one young lady lost down in Texas. I was really hoping that Jasmine Crockett was going to get
I
that
know who you're
seat,
talking about.
because that would have been so much fun had she gotten into that seat down in Texas. And but now we're going to have fun with the other goofball that's down there. And shout out to President Trump. I'm sure he's not listening, but you're doing a great job, and we appreciate you, and we hope you are successful with this most recent effort. So with
Skip, are
that
you
said,
saying that you don't
Jonathan,
believe Trump listens to our radio program?
I am thinking he does. I sent a message to him to live stream it, and I'm trying to promote getting him on at some point in time.
Yeah, we'll keep working on that. Stay tuned, audience.
We're gonna. So Jonathan, why don't you introduce Angela?
Yeah, so I'm going to introduce Angela in our conversation around Americans for Prosperity this way. I've had lots of conversations with lots of people and encouraged many, many people to look at what Americans for Prosperity are doing. And I get a mix of responses. There are some people that are concerned about some of the things that Americans for Prosperity do, support, have done. And I want to encourage you to engage in this conversation, discussion this way. In my book, there is no politician or person who will match my interests exactly. That includes Trump. I say regularly, I'm absolutely love about 85% of what Trump does. The 15% can be tremendously annoying. So if you are out there, and I'm gearing this conversation, this comment, to anybody that's out there that has a preconceived notion about AFP, let's wipe the slate clean and take a look at what they're currently working on and what's happening in Geauga County. We're going to start off with a little background on Angela and AFP and all the things that they're working on, and then we're going to get some action steps. With that said, turning it over to you, Angela, tell us from the bird's eye view about AFP.
Yeah. So thank you guys so much for having me on this morning. I appreciate it. So a little bird's eye view of AFP. So Americans for Prosperity, we are the largest grassroots organization in the entire country. We have
Wow.
millions of activists across the country. We have 37 state chapters, full-blown state chapters, and we operate in all 50 states, which is pretty cool. Ohio's the third largest chapter too, which is really, really great. I think it's Florida and then Texas in front of us, and then there's Ohio. So we have a
Oh,
pretty large state chapter here in Ohio, which is really cool. Um, but I would say, from a very bird's eye view, we have what we call the Buckeye Blueprint. I know, Jonathan, you've probably heard of the Buckeye Blueprint before.
oh yeah.
But that campaign, we aim to engage, empower, and embolden volunteers, coalition partners in all 88 counties of Ohio in the pursuit of electing really good policy champions and just having that transformational public policy that's going to move Ohio from the middle of the pack to the first in the nation when it comes to a lot of different policy positions. Um, we focus on four key areas here in Ohio, and those four key areas are economic opportunity, educational freedom, unleashing energy abundance, and modernizing Ohio's government, which is kind of just a fancy way of saying that we're bringing a little bit of Doge and some REINS Act and stuff like that here to the state of Ohio, which is, for somebody like me who wants to cut spending and red tape and all this stuff, is very, very exciting to be able to add that onto our priority initiatives. So I can dig deep into any of those, but that's kind of a really good bird's eye view of what we're doing here in the state as far as policy goes.
Excellent. So starting right there, where can people go to find out more about the Buckeye Blueprint?
Really easy. BuckeyeBlueprint.com.
Yay, I love it. I actually have Americans for Prosperity pulled up. That is a website also, all
It
by
is.
itself, Americans
Yes,
Pros-
it is.
AmericansForProsperity.org. You can start to learn about the organization, their mission, their objectives, policies, you name it, at Americans for Prosperity. And I actually did not know that there's a dedicated website. I've learned a lot through the years about Buckeye Blueprint. Maybe not everything there is to know about it yet. I plan on digging deeper into it. But I understand, Angela, that you personally cover 5 counties, including Geauga. I know
Yes.
you're very, very active. So, gosh, you must. Do you ever sleep? Because I see you very active in Geauga County,
Ah,
including tonight. You've got an event tonight.
I do. I'll sleep when, Ohio's bolder and better here, and we're first in the nation. That's when I can take a little sleep break.
I like that attitude. Go get it.
That's right.
So tell us. Let's begin with tonight. You have an event coming up. Where and when?
Yeah, so tonight's event is at 6 p.m. at Punderson Manor. Um, it's in the back room. You walk right in, and it's in the back room that'll already be set up for us. We are going to be talking about canvassing, actually. Since it's a primary, primaries are so important to be able to get some really good people into Columbus. So we're going to be talking about everything canvassing and door knocking, preparing for our National Day of Action, which will be later this month.
And tell us about the type of person, as I think it covers a pretty good mix. The type of person who should go would fit well with the interests and objectives that you'll be outlining tonight, and sort of what's the typical blueprint or person that would be interested in tonight.
I like what you did there. So I would say a lot of people feel very disenfranchised, right? They feel politically homeless. They feel as though maybe their local party or something else isn't necessarily speaking for them, or they aren't taking the action that they feel like they want to take. Or there's a lot of people out there that just don't know what to do. I mean, the government's never going to teach us how to fight against them.
Right.
So that's what we do. We teach people how to fight back against corruption, against cronyism, and to fight for policies that they're very passionate about. So if you're one of those people that want to get involved and you just don't know where or how or any of those things, that's what AFP is here for, and I will walk you through every step of the way on how to take that action, depending on what you're passionate about. Some people really like writing. So that can be a letter to the editor, or that can be, an op-ed or something. Some people are really passionate about talking to their elected officials. Hey, we can schedule those meetings and teach you how to lobby them. We can teach people how to testify at the state house and how to write written testimony. We can do all of those kinds of things depending on what people are specifically passionate about, and we can cater to that.
Well, I wish I'd known about AFP 10 years ago. Actually, when we come back from the break, I'm going to ask you when AFP was formed, but I sort of jumped in the deep end without training, and when I went down to Columbus and have testified a great number of times, I remember the first few times it can be nerve-wracking to get up at that podium.
Yes, absolutely.
So to have some training and feel some comfort and go through maybe a little role-playing, I think that makes a lot of sense. When we come back from the break, we're going to talk more with Angela Manarino about Americans for Prosperity, upcoming events, some of the things that they're working on, and what they do. Remember, you can join the conversation at 440-946-9468. You can also find us on social media. Rumble tends to be the most prolific of commenters. You can add a comment there, and I will try my best to incorporate it in today's conversation. More on the other side of the break.
Mics are off, mics are off.
So, Angela, let me ask you this. There's a real passionate movement right now to eliminate property tax in the state of Ohio.
Yeah.
Where does AFP stand on that?
So we're not engaging on that specific issue right there. We're more in favor of eliminating the income tax. But I'm really friendly with Brian Massey. Like, we know that it's cool to agree to disagree on this. But we're just focusing on the income tax, making Ohio really competitive, keeping businesses here, families here, stuff like that.
Okay. I would let's have a conversation about that.
Okay.
So
I don't know as much. I'm not a policy expert. I want to be very clear. But I will try to answer as much as I possibly can.
Yeah, AFP ought to be looking at this issue because this is one Ohio is very passionate about. Florida's actually Florida's very looking at this right now. Actually, at a state level, they're looking at the government's looking at it, and so it tends to put people out on the street. Property tax because there are people who don't pay their property tax a couple of times and the government can seize their homes that they paid off. They might be elderly.
Yeah.
And so it's a really
and
bad
private
thing.
property is so important. I mean, like, if we don't have that, I mean, what do we have?
But
so it's so unbelievably important. We have supported a lot of bills and reforms in the property tax space. I know DeWine shockingly vetoed quite a few of them. So we are working on it. Yes.
Yeah, 67 vetoes.
Yep. So it's just not something that we are engaging on. I think. Well, actually, I'm not entirely sure. If it gets on the ballot, I don't know if that would change AFP's position on anything. I'm not entirely sure. Like I said, I'm not a policy expert like that. So any questions I don't know, I can refer to my legislative director and I can get answers for you guys. I just don't dive super deep into the policy or like necessarily maybe the whys behind some of the things too. So
yeah, it'd be interesting to get engaged with the I don't know what AFP's process looks like for engaging on various issues and so forth, but I would think that for something like this,
30 seconds.
that's got a lot of passion around it. It'd be interesting, or somebody should engage from AFP and try to discover what the guts of it are. So
I wouldn't be surprised, given the scope of the organization, if they don't wait to see what happens with the citizen-led initiative before weighing in.
10 seconds.
Welcome back to Voice of Geauga on WINT Radio. That's 101.5 FM, 1330 AM. And remember, you can stream this audio by going to voiceofgeauga.com or WINTradio.com. There's a stream button there, so you can take the show with you. We have a great question that's shown up in the Rumble chat. Before we go to that, I want to give a special recognition personally to Angela Manarino. Angela is one of the few rare people who actually puts their time and energy where their mouth is. She talks a lot about being involved in politics. She is recently now has become a central committee, central committee person in Lake County. So she has a voice and a vote at the table of the Republican Party. You've heard me talk about it before, the importance of recognizing the significance of your county central committee. So kudos to you, Angela, for getting involved on that level. That is separate from, but I'm sure relates to her role at Americans for Prosperity. We have a question here from Darafy. Darafy wants to know, what does AFP think about what's going on with the data centers?
Ooh, that's a good question. Again, I'm not a policy expert, so I can refer that to my legislative director. I'm not entirely sure what our official policy is on that.
Well, that's a good cue for people to come and find you on social media.
Yeah, come find me. I will get whatever answers you guys need.
Yeah, so you can pose those questions and search for answers. I know Angela is very active on Facebook and other social media platforms. Find Angela Manarino, and I think, Angela, what I'm going to ask is, as a follow-up to this show, on the platforms we can find us, and Voice of Geauga, I know you've seen the page on Facebook, post your contact information and give people a way to contact you.
Yes.
And learn about getting involved.
Yes.
Before the break, we were talking about action, and I will interject a personal experience that I had. They meet up regularly. Angela hosted something at local Manja Manja about a month or so ago. I showed up, and Angela had a stack of postcards. They were call to action postcards, and asked everybody there to make a handwritten note to Geauga County residents to get active. It was a call to action. I think that is a great sign of somebody thinking outside the box. What can we do to spur people to action? Tell us more about those kinds of initiatives and the things that you do that get people not only engaged and interested and trained, but also acting.
Yeah. So one of the things I love to point to that we did last year, or 2 years ago now, is we had a national campaign called Prosperity is Possible. So we went around to gas stations and we were trying to highlight, how much inflation was absolutely crushing absolutely everybody. We were hearing some pretty terrible stories. And we went around to gas stations and we partnered with them and we brought the price of gas down to, I believe, $2.18. Don't quote me on that. I believe that's what it was. Back to the same exact price that it was when Trump took office. And for 2 hours, we filled up people's gas tanks for that price. And we talked about the policies that make that happen, why inflation is so high. We did it with grocery stores too. We were handing out $70 gift cards at food banks and at grocery stores to try to help combat that barrier that people were having, trying to make really tough decisions, whether to buy food or put gas in their car to go to work, which nobody should ever be put in that position to make that decision. So those are really cool things that we've done as well. Our chapters got really involved in that kind of stuff. They loved it. It was a lot of fun. They helped us find gas stations. They helped us with ideas of different areas and where to do that kind of stuff as well. But no, we did the postcards, which is really great. We do a really great talk. Jonathan, I believe you were there for it. In order to we the people must be the people, essentially, is what it is. And having those rights versus responsibilities and kind of bringing it back to the Constitution and what we should be doing as patriots here in Ohio, how to make a difference. We also do a lot of action. We have a cool red phone that we call the Liberty Line that we use to call elected officials. We called Bernie a couple weeks ago from the Liberty Line. We call a lot of state reps, and it's a really good tool to just be able to break that barrier between the average citizen and their elected officials. And it's really great. We give you all of the things to say, all of the options. You don't have to go into it blind. Like I said, we'll always walk people through everything so they're not intimidated or have any type of, reservation about it. I want people to feel very prepared when they go in to take action with us and educated in that. So we do a lot of really cool things like that. Canvassing, we're going to be tonight doing a lot of, how do I word it, like mock doors, right? Like I'm gonna pretend that I'm a person, where people are gonna pretend to knock on the door, and we're gonna talk, and I'm gonna train them up to be able to go out and be a grassroots army when it comes to these primaries and general election, which we know are so important. So it just keeps going. I mean, we can do so many different types of content and education. We even do like school board trainings. Somebody's running for school board. Like we invite them and their campaign manager for free down to Columbus, and we teach them how to run for school board. Excellent. Things like that make a difference in your local community.
That's huge, and that is much needed. I want to pause right there to interject for anybody that doesn't know this, front of brain, and stay aware of this important facet of political activism, being politically engaged. Door knocking works. I have yet to meet anybody that is politically savvy that thinks otherwise. I know that it seems passe and that there is social media. Skip has a comment he's going to make in a moment. Social media, all those things work and they help. Door knocking and face-to-face really, really resonates. It beats postcards. It beats, statistically, when you talk to a political consultant, there is little out there outside of maybe if you get Trump to chime in and issue an endorsement, that actually probably trumps door knocking. But there's a couple of great comments in Rumble, but I saw, Skip, you had a comment you want to interject.
Yeah, I've got personal experience with door knocking. I have some challenges with it because it's very limited. I mean, you tend to you can't talk to that many people, and that's my biggest challenge. It is very effective to connect to people, but when you're knocking on doors, particularly when you're a politician, and you've got to reach as many people as you can, you get engaged in 5 minutes of a conversation and divide 5 minutes into 8 hours, and you're not going to be able to talk to the numbers of people that you need to. Now, that said, I do think if you've got a group of people out there and you're blanketing an area and that kind of stuff, there are techniques that will work with door knocking, and it's very effective from certain perspectives. But I'll tell you one great tool that AFP needs to probably engage in is coming on Voice of Geauga, because we reach so many more people, and we can reach out and connect with people. You see us right now on Rumble engaging a whole bunch of people, and people get to see who we are, feel what we're thinking, and all that kind of stuff. Great opportunity for AFP to engage with a larger group of people. We got pretty good listening audience. I know that because I am out and about periodically, and people will walk up to me and actually say, "Hey, are you Skip Claypool?" And I'm expecting a different reaction, but oftentimes they say, "Well, I've been listening to you on the radio. I love it. You guys are doing a great job. Continue doing it." But let me ask you a question.
We get very encouraging feedback, and that's like this podcast. So one more.
Hang on, I'm going to ask Angela a question. So, Angela, what specifically in Geauga County? I mean, we've been talking kind of big picture, AFP. But bring it down to the brass tacks right here in Geauga County. What are we doing in Geauga County? How can people engage right here in Geauga County?
Well, so I think that two different ways. I think that the broader things that I've spoken about, if people want to go testify, for example, on school choice, right, that would directly affect Geauga County. Unleashing energy abundance, having a free market in energy and ending cronyist policies will directly be able to trickle down into Geauga County for taxpayers and consumers. So I think a lot of the policy positions that we hold, if people do want to get involved, do actually really relate very, very locally. But also, we train people up. So I want people to be able to go to their local city council meetings, their local school board meetings, their commissioner meetings, central committee meetings, and with the training that we have that we can provide for any of our other policy initiatives can be used locally as well. And we can help be able to teach folks how to have a unified message, for example, if there is something that is local that maybe AFP isn't engaging on. we can help you kind of craft that message, and you can take all of the tools and resources that we provide to be able to fight back locally.
So you have a
Yeah,
chapter in
training.
Geauga County, and you're meeting tonight. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And so what do
So
you?
we're coming up on a break. I'm going to need to step in here. We've got about 20 seconds before the break. Remember, you can join the conversation at 440-946-9468. We do have a great number of terrific comments in the Rumble chat. When we come back from the other side of the break, we're going to focus on those comments and questions.
So Angela, I want you to
Mics are off. Mics are off.
I want you to talk a little bit about specifics. If people come to your meeting, because it's harder to connect with people in Geauga County when it's a big picture thing. It's national. You've got a local chapter. What can people expect when they come to your chapter? What are they going to? What's the value in it to them? Why would they come to your chapter? So.
Well, yeah, absolutely. And again, I think it's more of like we're bridging that gap between them and local elected officials. I wouldn't necessarily say local, but state elected officials, federal elected officials. And like I said, we can bring that training down to a very local level. So.
Yeah, so that brings up a good point. You're talking about being prepared, sort of mentally, physically, emotionally, psychologically, whatever, to go up and present at a podium.
Yeah.
And I've made the comment a few times since the renovations took place, and we have a new building in central Geauga for our county administration. And the designers of that building saw fit to build these big, lofty podiums, pedestals for the elected officials to sit at, and it creates this ominous aura of, let's face it, public speaking by itself can be very uncomfortable for most people. But when you go up to the microphone in the middle of a big audience and you're looking up at these elevated people with their lofty seats that are, elevated up behind this glamorous looking podium, people lose sight of the fact that those are just average, ordinary citizens. They're fallible. They make mistakes.
Yep.
Just like you and I. And most importantly, the thing that I think a lot of people lose sight of is they are intentionally designed to be there just like us. They are our representatives. And many of them lose sight of that. And they start to feel like they're some sort of lords of the manor and that we are just these peons. We saw it in Geauga County recently with our county making moves to silence the voice of the people and crush our ability, to limit our ability to go up and express our will and interest. That's completely backward. They should be there looking intently into the faces of the average citizen, hearing the voices with their ears on and radar up. What are my instructions, oh people? That is how actual government is designed to work. Is people, and many of them get into office and elected positions, they don't want to listen to the people, and they do. They sit up there on their elevated pedestal and start to gain these fanciful notions that they're somehow some sort of lord of the manor, and that we're the peasants.
And that's something we're trying to break down is these are everyday people. I mean, these are people just like you and I. And that's something like a stigma that we're trying to break of, hey, let's teach you how to testify and lobby and get those jitters out of the way and have you be comfortable, because imagine how much more of a force they're going to be locally once they're able to tackle that at a state level and they feel comfortable. Imagine what people can do at a city council meeting or a central committee meeting. I mean, they're going to feel so much more empowered because they're going to have that experience behind them on a whole other level. And I think that's where it really translates locally, is that all the tools that we can give you to be able to work on a state level is all going to just make your
30 seconds. 30 seconds.
That's exactly where I was headed with that. Thank you for that. That you put the bow around exactly what I was thinking. When you get comfortable with that and people reshape their understanding of their role when they go up and approach that microphone, they're there to express their will to the elected officials. And if they don't follow that and they don't listen, or if they rebuke it and show signs that
10 seconds.
Welcome back to Voice of Geauga with Skip Claypool, myself, Jonathan Broadbent, and our special guest, Angela Manarino from Americans for Prosperity. As promised, I noticed before the break there's some terrific comments that have come up in the Rumble chat. One is I found they have good resources and tools that you can apply to whatever you're working on. They have a few issues they focus on and don't tend to go outside of those issues. So let's pause right there. Does that seem to be pretty true?
Yeah, there are, I would say, two main issues that we don't get involved with, and that would be any pro-life abortion issues or the Second Amendment. Not that they're not important, those are two of my strongest issues that we have, but we have the NRA and the Right to Life, and we have other groups that have that name recognition that can really, really make a difference in that space, where we're interested in where we can make a difference. We don't want to just sit around and talk about things. We want to actually be able to make that difference, and we believe in our policy areas that we can do that.
So do you ever collaborate with those groups, so like Right to Life and NRA and other, like Ohio gun owners or any of those groups?
Yeah, I mean, like we can absolutely be coalition partners with them, maybe host events with them, you know, different things like that. We're just not directly supporting those issues.
Okay, that makes sense. You do have a nice compliment here. Angela is a really good person and very helpful.
Oh,
That is a terrific comment. How are you, as an organization, choosing the issues to focus on?
yeah, that's a really good question. So it's probably the most grassroots you can get when it comes to it. So what we did is we went around the entire state and we did what we called a Buckeye Blueprint listening tour. And what we did was we went everywhere and we put up these like huge post-it notes on the walls and we asked people, what do you want to see change in Ohio? What are some policies that you want to see changed? And that became our Buckeye Blueprint. We met in Columbus afterwards. I believe the tour lasted about a month of going around talking to folks. And then we brought all of the sticky notes together in Columbus, and that is how we created our Buckeye Blueprint. So it was very grassrootsy, actually. It's one of my first memories with AFP, actually, is going around and doing all that, which I thought was really great that we're getting input from Ohioans. I mean, that's it's the best part, you know? We're working on things that people care about.
So you're talking about when you first got involved. When was that? How long have you been involved with Americans for Prosperity?
With Americans for Prosperity since 2021.
Since 2021.
Yep.
So you've got some experience under your belt.
Yeah.
If memory serves, and this is something I don't have any personal knowledge of or experience with, but if memory serves, do you organize trips to Columbus to meet with legislators?
Yes, we do. Our Geauga County chapter actually there was a really bad snowstorm back in December, and we took like a 15-person bus down. Cole Cornell, the other guest that you had from the Young Republicans, he drove it. Praise the Lord for that. He drove it down to Columbus, and a lot of our Geauga chapter went down, and they weren't in session, but we were able to see Sandra O'Brien's office. We were able to just take a tour of the State House in general. A lot of them haven't been there before, so it was really cool to just be able to see this is where things happen. This is where the offices are. This is what the rooms look like. And we also gave them a tour of our headquarters, which is in the Key Bank building in downtown Columbus, which is just a little hop and a skip away from a skip, no pun intended, and a skip from the State House. So we absolutely do organize those things, and I will organize that. So you guys aren't spending your gas money going down there. We can all go down as a group and have that camaraderie too, and get to know each other and do it all together.
Yeah, it kind of breaks the ice. I remember a time, and I made this comment to Representative Jennifer Gross in Columbus. I actually ended up in Columbus for the swearing in, the most recent session. And if you look at I'm actually in a few of the pictures of people being sworn in on the Bible. But I made the comment then, I feel almost sort of like I'm behind enemy lines. And it was, I admit it, it was kind of a cringe comment. But for a lot of us, it kind of holds true because it feels like a lot of times we, the people, are adversaries of Columbus, and it doesn't have to be that way. We can break the ice with trips like those van and bus trips down to Columbus and work with people like Americans for Prosperity who have experience, who know the legislators, break that ice. And I'm telling you, people, listening audience, please tune in. They're many of them are actually just real, decent, good people that are trying their best, and they are very accessible. So good for you for doing the bus trips.
Let me weigh in on that, Jonathan, that comment, because I couldn't agree with that more. And that's one of the powerful things that AFP could do. Um, the legislators are constantly being inundated by lobbyists. So
Yeah.
there are people who are lobbyists for companies and organizations and other groups that are constantly down in Columbus, knocking on the doors, trying to sway our legislators' opinions. And so, if we're not doing something similar for the issues that we feel that are important, then we're losing. We're going to lose the game. And so, doing that, and it's really hard, and people, and thank goodness AFP is helping in this regard. If people understood the process, it's not really that complicated. And like Jonathan, you said, most of the legislators down in Columbus are pretty good people. There are a few that are kind of not so nice, but there's some really good people down there. Our legislators out of Geauga County, the people who represent our county, are really good people, and they're easy to talk to. You just have to learn, understand how you approach them, and they've all got limited time, and so you have to appreciate that, and you have to be able to have something that's right to the point and talk to them and make sure that it's touching the buttons that they need to hear to promote your issue. So I applaud AFP for doing that. It's a really good thing to do. Geauga County has a lot of issues specific to Geauga County. We're a jewel, and we're surrounded by a bunch of blue communities. We tend to be a pretty red community, so we have a lot of conservative values. But it's easy for us to lose that culture if we don't promote that and defend it.
Yeah, if we don't fight back. So, Angela, on those bus trips to Columbus, do they ever get crafted around legislative issue? Like House Bill 13 right now is really big. Would you organize a bus and get people down there and prepare for people to go and speak on a specific issue?
Yes, we have. We've done that a lot in the past. One of the best ones that I can think of that was a lot of fun was when we were advocating for school choice for the backpack bill down in Columbus. We brought people in from all over the state to the point where we needed overflow rooms. I don't think they were too happy with us with the overflow rooms, but we taught people how to testify. We brought kids down from Christian schools to testify, teachers, parents, everyday people that are coming to advocate on behalf of their family and their child, their community, for educational freedom. We had everybody who testified. It's really cool because you have the full force of AFP supporting you. So you'll have a sea of green behind you as you are testifying. So it's always good to know that you'll have lots of people to have your back when you are doing these things too. That we're not gonna leave you. We're gonna support you. But we had multiple overflow rooms, which was really, really cool to see all on one issue. So we do that with legislation.
So at your meeting tonight, what could people expect? If people showed up for your meeting tonight, and I'm assuming it's open to the public, then what would they expect? Why would they come? What are they going to have fun? You're going to feed them? There's going to be beer there.
Always going to be fun. And yes, I will. I'm Italian, all right? So I'm never hosting a meeting without some good food and some good drinks. So I want to make that real clear too. I can't do that. So of course we will have dinner. You can get some drinks. But essentially tonight specifically what we're going to be talking about is voter contact. And voter contact, I know we kind of talked about it a little bit before, it impacts elections by 7%, which is a wild number. We got Bernie Moreno elected last year. I mean, Bernie will go around and he tells people it all the time that it was because of Americans for Prosperity Action that he is in Washington, D.C. right now representing Ohio. We made over 2 million contacts on behalf of Bernie Moreno last cycle, knocked almost 1 million doors on behalf of him. And it was really cool to be able to flip those votes and talk to people. It was really cool. I mean, that was a really cool election, very, very special. But that's what we're going to be talking about because as we know, this election season is very, very, very important. It's going to be very competitive as well. I don't believe it's going to be a slam dunk in any of the areas. I think that they're going to be competitive. And we need to be trained up and ready to fight that battle to keep Ohio as good as possible. Make
So,
it
Yeah.
cool.
so I'm assuming you're working for the John Husted campaign right now.
So I
With
cannot officially say anything about that yet since we have not had an endorsement come out.
No.
Okay, so there's nothing official there. But that goes back to door knocking. And I think one of the things, just not to belabor the point, but I think one of the things that makes it successful is that personal contact. It
Yeah.
makes people more motivated to actually get up and get out of their house and go and vote. Other
Yeah.
things may spark an interest, but they may lose track of it in the busyness of life. They forget. People get busy. They don't actually go and vote. If they feel a sense of emotional contact, and that comes from personal interaction, it makes people even just a little bit more likely to actually go and vote, because that's where the rubber meets the road. That's the important thing, is that they go and cast that vote. We're coming up on another break, and I want to do just a quick housekeeping notes here. We want to recognize two sponsors of this show. One is Great Lakes Outdoor Supply. Go visit Great Lakes Outdoor Supply in Middlefield and their location in Chesterland. We also have the Chardon VFW. Let's support our veterans. The Chardon VFW are greatly, greatly appreciated. They have actually a really nice spot over there across from Sage's Farm, and they do it up. You may want to go and check out the Chardon VFW. Thank you for being a supporter of this show. We will come back from the break and continue our conversation. Don't forget, tonight is 6 p.m. at Punderson. You can go and meet Angela in person. More on the other side of the break.
Mics are off. Mics are off.
You might want to tease tomorrow's show with Steve Olowich too.
Yeah,
That's
Steve is
good,
coming on, so he's confirmed for tomorrow. Good.
Yep.
This is fun. This is cool.
I'm glad you're having fun.
Yeah,
Excellent.
fun.
All right, so anything, now I do have one, let me circle this in my show notes. I do have one more thing. I want to make sure it comes up before the show ends. This is our last segment that we are entering. I will plug Steve Olowich when we come back. Anything you want to make sure gets covered before we go off the air?
No, I mean, not that we haven't already covered. So, I mean, just plug in the meeting tonight. I want people who feel disenfranchised. Please come talk to me. That's really what I want to just kind of stress. We can all work together in Geauga. I think Geauga is a really good example of different groups that all work together, that we can all make a difference locally in Geauga. So people that feel disenfranchised or that just don't know, they don't know what to do. Like, I want to help them be able to make a difference, and I want to educate them and teach them and show them the way.
30 seconds, 30 seconds.
Hey, Jonathan, I want
Just
to
imagine what they can do.
I want to tease the paper coming out and ask for citizen journalists to help with the next edition.
All right.
So.
Well, we're at 7:48. We're going to try and squeeze a lot in because we've got
10
another.
seconds, 10 seconds.
Welcome back to Voice of Geauga with Skip Claypool, myself, Jonathan Broadbent, and guest Angela Manarino. Don't forget to mark your calendar for tomorrow morning. We have returning guest Steve Olowich, who is running for county commissioner in Geauga County. Steve is joining us at 7 a.m. tomorrow. There is a question that I have, and before I ask my question of Angela, I want to acknowledge something important in Angela's life. She is engaged to be married, and her wedding is coming up in May. I got to hear a little bit about a really cool trip that she has planned with the girls to in advance of the wedding. Congratulations, Angela. We wish you the very best from Voice of Geauga for your wedding and for your family's future. The question I have relates to the frequency of meetings.
Yep.
How often do you meet in Geauga County?
Yeah, we meet every 2 weeks. at the same spot at Punderson Manor. We meet every 2 weeks. It is every other Thursday. And we believe that consistency is really important. You know, we go to church once a week. You know, there are certain things, that elements of just that consistency of that camaraderie of the group, even where they don't want to miss it out. You know, they don't want to miss a meeting and stuff like that. So every 2 weeks at Punderson Manor at 6 p.m., you will see our AFP chapter there.
Somebody put in the comments that the suggestion that people attend the meeting and see what you think. I mean, that seems like common sense. You might have other issues you're interested in, but you can only take what they teach you. You can take what they teach you and use it on your particular issues. So you're teaching the fundamentals, the basics.
Absolutely.
And during the break, you made a very important comment about catching people who feel interested in the direction of our country and feel like they want to be involved, but they don't know how. And I think that is a key element. I want to ask you to rephrase that in your own words. And then I know Skip has some comments that he wants to make about the exciting launch of our newspaper.
Yeah. So I just urge anybody who feels politically homeless, who feels disenfranchised, who feel like they want to do something, but they don't know what that is, or they don't know how to do the thing that they want to do. Come talk to me. Come to one of our meetings, check us out, and let's talk about it. We have so many different tools and resources to be able to help you break down those barriers that you have to make a difference, not only statewide, but locally in Geauga as well. So please come talk to me, come to the meeting, and I will find a place for you based off of your passions and your interests. Like, we will find a spot for you in AFP where you can make a difference here.
All right, and I know Skip is going to drop some comments about the newspaper. We also have Nancy Mara on hold on the phone. Skip, what's up with the newspaper?
Yes, real quick, Voice of Geauga has been working hard to put a newspaper out. We'll go to every home in Geauga County. That's actually going to be happening this week, so look for it in your mailboxes. We want to put another edition out next month, and we're looking for citizen journalists. And I want to make a very, very important, clear point. In this program, we tend to kind of lean one way or the other. We're doing a newspaper. That newspaper is intended to be as factual and center of the road as we can make it. Yeah, sometimes it may appear to be leaning, but you can help us to make this newspaper successful and a true information source for everybody in Geauga County. Join us as a citizen journalist. If you're paying attention to what's going on in the local area, if there's community activities going on, we want to be able to put those in the paper. And so you can email us at voiceofgeauga@gmail.com if you'd like to participate. And
let's go to Nancy Mara on the phone. Nancy, you're on with Voice of Geauga.
Good morning. Am I clear? Can you hear me clearly?
Yep.
You can. Nancy, unfortunately, we're up against it. We only have a few minutes left of the show. What's going on?
I'll be clear. Thank you, Angela, for coming on. I have door knocked with AFP twice. Very organized, professional, help you along. It's not, random house knocking. They have their app. You know what door you're already knocking on. You know already how those persons voted. You know who can open that door. Number two, I've been to Columbus with AFP. Well, organized again, and almost like a mini stock exchange when you walk into their offices. The lobbyists are running around, but very organized, watching what's going on the floor, ready to go do their speeches. Been with them. They do have the money, but look at Angela. Not only do they have the beauty, they have youth. They are not like us. They don't have the reach.
Great comments. Thank you for that, Nancy.
Unbelievable energy. So, Angela, thank you for what you're doing. I suggest people check out AFP. They can help you along, but you have to go to a meeting and understand that they're going to help you fight, and the fight might be long, but they do have the wherewithal to help you fight. And Angela, don't forget the cannolis.
That sounds important. Whatever that is, that sounds
From the
important.
Godfather.
Don't forget the cannoli. Oh, that's right. I couldn't place it for a moment. The coffee hasn't fully kicked in.
Okay.
So are there any trips that are planned or upcoming or being in consideration down to Columbus to influence politics?
No, not right this second. We don't have any trips. We are going to be focusing more on voter contact for right this second. But that doesn't mean that that's not going to happen. So stay tuned and come to our meetings And also follow us on social media because we post all of our events and upcoming trips, stuff like that, all on our social media, on Twitter and on Facebook.
And just for our listening audience, when you go to look for Angela Manarino, I am, of course, I'm going to ask her. I know Angela, she has good follow up. She will put her contact information in the show notes after this episode. If you're looking for her now, it's Mannarino, Manarino. Manarino with two N's. Find Angela, and you can find all sorts of information about the things that she and Americans for Prosperity are working on in this area. Angela, what are the 5 counties that you cover?
Yeah, I cover Lake County, Geauga, Ashtabula, Summit, and Portage.
Wow, that is a significant territory. Must have you running. And did I hear you correct that of those 5, Geauga is actually one of the more active and robust?
Absolutely. Yeah, we have Geauga, we have like a consistent 15 to 20 every 2 weeks people, and it just keeps growing. We had 4 new people actually at the last meeting that we had. So Geauga's growing strong. Out of all of my region, Geauga's growing very, very, very strong and pretty consistently. So, yeah.
Here's the thing that people need to know, and I think it's something that our side, my side, conservatives, haven't yet figured out. It doesn't take many. On the extreme left, they figured out a long time ago, and I flash back to the years of learning about this upstart Barack Obama in Chicago and how he was a community organizer. That was his title. He was a community organizer. It didn't take much and it didn't take many, but he organized people and trained them to go out and fight for what we eventually figured out are some terrible anti-American destructive things that many of us now regret. But that's what he was doing, is organizing people to understand politics, the levers of power, and unite people behind a mission, purpose, and cause. That's ultimately what we're talking about here. But we're talking about it in a very different light. We're talking about doing those things for the good of America and creating prosperity and unity, not destructive elements. So that is a key important thing that I hope everybody takes with them. Again, that is 6 p.m. tonight at Punderson. Go meet Angela in person, and to the comment that was made, I'm sorry if you made a comment and I didn't get to it. It's been a very active chat in Rumble. But that comment that the best thing to do is go introduce yourself, meet Angela, get to know Americans for Prosperity, and see if it's a fit. They have a huge toolbox. They're going to teach you. I know from secondhand information that they also have a huge library of very informative books. And I think downtown Columbus in their office, all kinds of free books. We have about 20 seconds left. Tell us about the downtown location, the Columbus location.
I love our location. We are on the 11th floor of the Key Bank building. We are very, very close to the State House, so it's a really, really good place for legislators to come in if they want to have meetings, if we want to host trainings for legislators and other.
Sorry, Angela, I need to step on your toes there. We're out of time.
Fine.
Thanks for tuning in, everyone.